The last hour we spoke to Extinction Rebellion as they kick off a campaign of civil disobedience in the name of tackling climate change. You'll be familiar with Extinction Rebellion. They have had reasonably extreme, I suppose, forms of protest where they occupied Trafalgar Square, they closed roads, they have really discombobulated the public in an attempt to highlight the crisis in climate change. Having said that, they said that's not what they're going to be doing here. They're going to be targeting polluters and government rather than people and the population. But they do believe in civil disobedience in order to put this on the agenda and to get attention and eyes on the issue. What do you make of it, Shane?
Generally, I'm not mad about street politics. There are certain political parties who just want the Dáil almost to be sort of sidestepped and take everything to the streets. I'm not mad about the politics of confrontation. But I do think at certain times and for certain issues, civil disobedience is important. We are the country that brought the word boycott, for example, because of a campaign of civil disobedience against a landlord in Mayo. So I think there are certain issues. Women's rights, the right to vote for women was a classic example. The suffragettes, civil rights in the US, and look what happened in the North as well. The civil rights marches in the North. I think at times, if issues are of significant importance, serious importance, well then you do have to shake people up a bit. And if global warming and the future of the planet isn't one of those issues, well, I don't know what is.
I don't really agree with you. I'm not a mad fan of Extinction Rebellion, and the reason is that it's a very difficult issue. Climate change, I'm not for a moment suggesting you're wrong on it being the issue of our times. It is, and it is the one we are going to have to grapple with and deal with. But it is not easy to do because we have to balance this. We have to balance the needs of those of us already on the planet versus those of us who will likely be on the planet in the future. That's what it basically boils down to. And you can't completely, I suppose, discount the needs for those of us who are on the planet currently, who have economies and lives and quality of life based around largely fossil fuel economies. So the transition is difficult. Anyone who tells you otherwise is stupid and wrong and misinforming you. Doesn't mean we don't have to do it, but it doesn't mean that we can do sort of knee-jerk things, because otherwise we are going to destroy the lives of those on the planet for the sake of those who may be on the planet in the future. So it is very, very difficult. And I do believe that governments get it. I do believe that governments are moving in the right direction. Maybe it isn't fast enough for some people's liking, but it is an enormous task. It is an enormous task, and it is difficult, Shane. And I think that I find personally people throwing cans of beans at works of art. No, but this type of behaviour, I find it immature and unhelpful. I don't think we need to put it on the agenda. I think it's on the agenda already. I think we know this stuff.
Well, it might be on the agenda, but it isn't happening quick enough. And I think you're being unfair to Extinction Rebellion Ireland. This isn't a can of beans at a picture, which is nonsense. That was nonsense. Is it fair enough to have a campaign of civil disobedience over this issue? Or as Ciara says, is it too nuanced an issue, too complex an issue for this?